Hi guys, Olive here. Here today to have a chat with you about TBRs, specifically monthly ones. I feel like you learn the term TBR very early on whenever you join any kind of bookish community. It's a very specific term to the book world, and it generally just means to be read. In its most basic form, it's a list of books that you want to read. And as we start to creep toward month end on any corner of the bookish internets, you'll start to notice that people are posting monthly TBRs, or basically what books that reader is intending to read during the next calendar month. Now, I've been a part of the BookTube community for quite some time now, and I watch more BookTube now than I ever have before. And I've noticed over the years that BookTubers tend to have very strong feelings about TBRs. Some people live by them, others won't set them at all. I've always thought this divide was really interesting, so I decided I would sit down and discuss this topic with questions like, what's the purpose of a monthly TBR? What are the pros and cons of setting one? And are they really necessary? So let's discuss. We'll start with the cons, because I have frequently heard booktubers, who I really respect, say they won't make TBRs. They don't like TBRs, they don't work for them. And to be honest, I get the reasoning. I think the most common argument against TBRs is that they can be restrictive. You set this list of books for yourself, and then you may find that you lose interest in those books. You're not in the mood to read them. You feel cramped by the list altogether. Just the fact that it's something you have to do puts you off the idea entirely. You might find that that limited list doesn't account for any new books that you could encounter over the course of the month, any new books you buy, any new books that are released that everyone is talking about, anything that better fits your headspace at that particular moment in time. Basically anything that wasn't on your radar when you sat down to make the TBR. Maybe you're struggling to find a sweet spot when it comes to how many books to put on your TBR. Maybe you're packing it full of books because you're very ambitious about how many you can get to, only to find that that stack is extremely intimidating and you don't want to touch any of them. Or maybe you just feel lost with how to forecast what books you'll want to read the following month. And then specifically about TBR videos on BookTube, I've heard complaints from people saying that those videos aren't substantive. The booktuber hasn't read the book, so they're much less informative than a review or a wrap-up. Yet, those videos are very highly viewed. Why would people make TBRs or watch TBR videos with all of these negatives in front of our faces? I think the big thing that makes TBR videos so widely viewed is that they're exciting, not just for the viewer, but also for the booktuber, because these are books that that person is really looking forward to reading, so the excitement is palpable. Plus, there's an air of mystery to it, like what books are going to be on the list. But more than that, I do think TBRs have real value. I wouldn't structure my own or spend time making videos about them if I didn't think they did. I personally have really struggled with straight mood reading. I am very excited about all the books on my shelves, either here behind me or on Goodreads. So if I'm left to my own devices, I will pick up 10 books in a month and not finish one of them. Having a TBR helps keep me focused. It keeps my eye from wandering my shelves when I am finished with a book because I already know what books I am making a priority that month. My monthly TBRs also help me get through the number of books I do in a calendar year, since I always set them pretty ambitiously high, so I'm always looking to get to that number, so I will read more to get through my TBR. The TBR also helps me read more because there's no lag time in between books. I don't waste time thinking, what should I read next? I already know because I've already set that list for myself. I think the most beneficial thing about setting a TBR, though, is that it allows you to be more deliberate about your reading in every sense of the word. Making and then sticking to monthly TBRs can really help you read more broadly. I think mood reading is great, but I can see how easily it lends itself to reading all in one genre. Because think about it, and we've all been there, I'm not excluding myself from this. You finish an amazing book and your first thought is, oh, that was amazing. I want to read something else just like it. And where is the first place you are probably going to look for that next great read? Probably the exact same genre. And while there's nothing wrong with specializing, it can keep you from reading broadly if that's your goal. I get a lot of comments about how eclectic my TBRs are, how many different genres and styles I fit into any one given month. And all of that is very intentional. I want to read widely, and so I structure my TBRs to ensure that I do. Making a monthly TBR can also help you keep more on track with your yearly reading goals. Because you're sitting down and picking those books very deliberately, you can have those goals in mind versus just grabbing whatever's calling out to you from the shelves. So while I've probably made it clear by this point that I think monthly TBRs are underappreciated for the tools that they can be used as, I also think TBR videos here on BookTube don't get enough credit. Just like haul videos, I think they make for really good discovery tools for BookTube viewers. Sure, the BookTuber hasn't read the books on the list yet, so they don't have much in terms of depth, but that doesn't stop a BookTube viewer from being introduced to a book they've never heard of before. Watching a TBR video can also be a really good way to sample a BookTuber's content. You can get a sense of what books they tend to pick up every month and what their general style is, which gives the viewer more of an idea of whether or not they'd like to watch this person on a regular basis. In summary, I think TBRs have merit. I think they deserve their place in the greater book world, as well as here on BookTube in the form of TBR videos. But at the end of the day, it's your reading life. You have to do what's right for you. And that may take some time and a whole learning process to discover what actually works for you. You shouldn't feel pressured to make a TBR or make any kind of a post about said TBR solely because people find them exciting. If they're cramping your style or making you feel down on yourself because you're not achieving something that you've told yourself you should be, then maybe they're not working for you, at least not in that form. Maybe you need to shake up the way you're making your TBR. Maybe that list needs to be really small as just 1 or 2 books to get some of the benefits I mentioned about making a monthly TBR, like keeping yourself focused and getting a wide variety in your book diet, but then leaving the rest of the month open to whatever you're feeling at the time. Or maybe you want to try a different style of TBR. I know a lot of people have used TBR jars to great effect. They have slips of paper in a jar that have the titles of priority books written on them, and then they will select a certain number of those slips of paper, which will turn into TBR books for the month. I myself have used a random number generator to select books for my TBR for several years now. But as much as I see the benefits of making a monthly TBR, and as much as I urge you to try making one of any different flavor, I do understand that they are not going to work for everyone. There is no right or wrong way to structure your reading life. All of us need to be able to try things and see how they work for us, with no judgment or guilt trips when the results of that little study roll around. But I want to hear from you. Do you make TBRs? If so, why do you feel they work for you? If not, what about them doesn't click with you? One of the reasons I joined this community in the first place was to hear more about people's reading lives, so this kind of thing is absolutely fascinating to me. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you'd like to reach out to me anywhere else on social media, the links to all of my profiles are linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.